Here we go, it's time for another update to the 52 Platinum Challenge. In case you've just stumbled across this and have no idea what I'm talking about, well, I'm just aiming to earn 52 Platinum trophies in a year. No super quick shovelware, unless I own it physically, only because there's one I might want to play. So it's one a week. I've said it before, it doesn't sound difficult, but not all Platinums are created equal, and a full-time job really gets in the way. So not a massive update with this one, but one of these games took a long time to do, and I probably could have been really close to the end of the challenge if I decided not to go for it. But this isn't a challenge for quick and easy trophies, it's stuff I wanted to play or I feel like I would enjoy. Now, saying that, let's start off with a banger which I don't know why you wouldn't want to play. This is one I've spoken about before in a video. I think it was one of my playing a new game every day for a month videos a year or so back. So what is it? It's Lawn Mowing Simulator. To be honest, there isn't much to say about the gameplay other than you take on contracts and mow people's lawns. All of them end when you hit a completion percentage of the amount of grass cut. Yeah, it's that simple. It's usually around the 99 point something mark. There are two other types of contracts though, but they're less frequent, but one of them is a lifesaver when it comes to the trophies. This isn't a short completion at all. According to the stats, this one took me 82 hours and 13 minutes. Luckily when it popped up for this challenge, all I needed to do was just the mop up of the game. I'd completed all of the main game apart from the hardest part, so this still wasn't a walk in the park. Most of the trophies will just come from you working through the game, completing contracts, buying new equipment / workshops and hiring staff. The longest grind in the game comes from completing 100 contracts. To get this through quicker though, you can keep an eye out for litter picking contracts, as you can do these in a matter of minutes. All you do is just run around the map and collect a few bits of rubbish that's hidden in the grass, and then the contract ends. You do need to complete at least one of each type of contract too. One of these is a stripe contract, which you won't be able to complete until you get the required mower and its attachment. You can use these mowers in challenges, so this might count, but I can't confirm it, as I didn't touch the challenge mode until after the game. The game does have some collectibles, but with a guide they're easy to find, and you just need to wait for the maps to cycle round, which shouldn't take too long as it starts to feel like there's only a handful. And I did this game with all the DLC installed as well, which I did get all the trophies on too, but it's more of the same and just a few challenges. Another large grind is for driving 100 miles, which doesn't sound bad, but when you think you're spending all your time on a mower doing a couple of miles an hour, it takes a lot of time. You think you could just go full speed everywhere on the mower, but this damages the engine and causes them to break down. The only trophy you really need to look out for in your playthrough is to use an American lawnmower on the 4th of July. This sounds easy, but this is an in-game 4th of July. It only pops up around the 3rd or 4th year of the game, and if you miss this you'll be repeating even more years to get another shot. So far everything is easy, but just time consuming. So why did I leave this game unfinished on my account until now? Well, I was really put off by the challenge mode. You have to complete all the amateur, professional and expert challenges, with more thrown in if you're going to do the DLC. These are just normal contracts, but with very strict time or fuel limits. The fuel ones are pretty easy, you just need to take it slow and steady with a bit of a methodical approach. It's the time ones which are bad. You need to move swift without causing penalties for things like going over flower beds or damaging the ground, all while at the same time making sure you're cutting as clean as possible. As in the later challenges, you can't even use the option to see any grass you've missed. To do these I would go over them with a mower as quick as possible, then jump off and run around like a madman with a strimmer, trying to hit everything I missed. Most of these are easily doable, but there are two timed ones in the expert category, which I thought was going to stop me. I probably put more time into these two than all other challenges combined. With these I had to make sure I was incredibly accurate with the mower, as there was no time to get off and tidy up with the strimmer. When I finally beat them and popped the platinum, it was a great sense of accomplishment. Then it dawned on me, I'd spent a large chunk of my life cutting virtual grass. This one isn't worth going for. Spirit of the North is a game I've always looked at and I've really wanted to play it. It's a slower paced Fox-themed puzzle platformer, and other games in this style I've really enjoyed, such as The First Tree, which I don't hear many people talk about. I knew it would be one that would tug on the heartstrings, but I enjoy a good sad game from time to time. But the sadness came quicker than I thought. When I got around to playing it, I was disappointed. I had always heard how good the game looked and how fun it was to explore. I will say the graphics aren't bad, but I was playing on the PS5, but everything just felt low budget and glitchy. All the environments are large and barren. I was hoping for a bit more interaction from the world, but it's usually locate this small puzzle in a large area, complete and carry on. Almost all of the puzzles are solved by transferring energy from these plants to objects and statues, but you can only carry one charge at a time, and I found myself backtracking just to charge up again all the time. They should have just given you unlimited charge and made the puzzles more about reaching the objects rather than taking the light to them. Rinse and repeat these steps for a few hours and it's over. Well, that time depends on how little you get lost. I found the game wasn't the best at naturally pointing you in the correct direction. I went into this game blind and I knew it had collectibles, but I also knew it had a chapter select, so I wasn't too worried about it. This was a mistake. Every collectible in the game is multi-layered. You have to locate a staff, then take it to the corpse of a dead shaman, but these felt more like puzzles in the main game, and they were also very easy to miss with no way back to. Luckily the level select does give you an idea of how many you've collected, but it displays it with these little symbols, which at first it's hard to tell if it's how many you have or how many left to find. The worst thing is, finding all of these isn't the end of the collectibles, as once you've found all the shaman, there's a next step. as towards the end of the game, you end up in this area where all the shaman you have found are located. You're now tasked to simply walk up and greet them. Strangely, the game didn't seem to give me indication of whether or not it counted when I walked up to one or not. Sometimes you get a little bit of a saving icon, but it wasn't always there. The problem with this area is, it's not small. You have to explore a giant open world map to locate them all, and this can be a nightmare as they're in some real random areas. I don't want to go into too much about it, as I imagine if you were going to go through this with a collectible guide from the start, it would be a much more enjoyable experience. My error was going in blind. I enjoyed the first couple of levels, but it quickly went downhill and the collectible mop-up was a pain. The ending is cool though, and at the end of the day, the game's as easy or as hard as you want to make it. To be honest, you couldn't make it that hard, even if you tried. From something I couldn't wait to see the end of, to something I couldn't put down. The Forgotten City is one of the best games I've played this year. It's a game which started life as a Skyrim mod, and it's very blatant that it was, but don't let that put you off. This is basically a murder mystery game set in ancient Rome. You somehow end up going back in time to a city where if a crime is committed, the whole world goes to hell and everyone perishes. If this happens, you have to run back to a portal to rewind time. I really don't want to spoil any of the game as I went into this one blind and so glad I did. The story was genuinely interesting, and the way you have to solve aspects using the time travel mechanic was really refreshing. With each loop you take, you know you can make the day run smoother with the knowledge you've learnt. I think other games such as The Outer Wilds uses this style of gameplay, but I've yet to give it a go. Overall, the game is a very easy platinum, but it does contain things like speedrun trophies, which after you've played the game is very easy in this style of game. There are a couple of missable trophies, but since you'll be playing this a few times, I wouldn't really worry about them for the first run. I will also say this game is very text heavy, so if you're not one for reading, it might not be one for you. There is a small amount of combat, but most of it does just boil down to talking your way out of situations. As I said, I don't want to spoil this one for anyone, as the story and the way it unfolds are the game's strong point. This goes on sale digitally all the time for cheap, so even if it doesn't sound like your thing, give it a go, you might be pleasantly surprised. I'd give this a 3 out of 10 platinum difficulty rating, so that may sway some of you into picking it up. I also have a feeling it's on PS Plus now. I was given a copy of Crash Team Rumble for Christmas from my nephew. He said it was his own personal copy, but he no longer played it. I thought I needed to give it a go, as I loved the Crash Bandicoot games, and was curious of how they would put a multiplayer spin on it. This one isn't a recommendation. It's not a bad game, and you can have fun with it for a couple of games. Basically, each match boils down to 2 teams collecting Wumpa Fruit and dropping them off at a goal. There is some strategy to this, as there are boosts on the map which multiply the amount you're carrying, as each character has a limit. So dropping off the fruit when super boosted is your best bet. You will also lose fruit if you're hit too, so there is some risk and reward. There are also power-ups around the map which you have to pick up other collectibles to be able to activate, but I found most of these were pretty useless if you're just going for the win. Sadly, this is one of those online-only live service games, so even though you can practice offline, you can't work towards any of the trophies. But luckily, the trophies are all rather easy. For the most part, that is anyway. All you need to do is unlock the characters, complete a usually simple task with their special ability, such as hit 2 people with 1 slam, or hit a certain number of enemies in a match with said power-up. You also need to win a match with each character and while using each equipable power-up, so these can be doubled up. A lot of these will just be unlocked through grinding the game, as most stuff is locked off the bat. The only hard-ish achievements are for killing 10 people in one game, and killing 5 people without dying. As the matches go by so fast, you usually don't get a chance to even try. I also found the game to be incredibly laggy, and trying to hit other players usually just resulted in my death. But with a bit of patience, you'll get these. The best strategy is to just camp on the goal and use power-ups. Even with the time it might take to get these done, the worst is yet to come. You have to max out a single character. This means getting them to level 15, and around about level 10, the bar just stops moving. I probably had all other trophies in about 20 hours, and this final one took another 20-ish hours of grinding. Not to mention this is an online-only game, so you're not always going to find a match. Sometimes I would just sit there on my phone for 10 minutes waiting for a game. Where this has also been abandoned by the developers, there's no more double XP weekends or events, but they have put all the paid content into one giant free battle pass. The older this game gets, the harder it will become to get the platinum, and I saw the same names over and over while playing. So if you do want to do this one, I'd do it sooner rather than later, as the game already feels like it's on life support. My final thoughts of this game is, it was 42 hours of pure repetition. Avoid. I'm not going to spend much time talking about number 34, as it was Mind's Eye and I did a separate review video for it. I'll link that somewhere in the description if you haven't seen it. But I will say from a trophy standpoint, this is a very easy and rather short run. I also had a good time with it, and it really didn't seem as bad as everyone said. All these glitches and broken game mechanics never reared their ugly head for my playthrough. Yes, the game is linear, but I'm happy with that. And if you just want trophies and can get it cheap, I'd say go for it. You won't have any issues obtaining your shiny new platinum from this one. It's mostly story related, and the odd stealth section. I won't dwell too much on Beholgar, as I recently spoke about it in a pickups video, and I also used it as the gameplay for a video I narrated over not long back, but in case you haven't seen them, it's a 2D 16-bit inspired Metroidvania where you play as a barbarian called Beholgar. At the beginning of the game, this will feel brutal in difficulty, almost NES hard, but I would advise grinding the first few enemies to get enough money to buy all the upgrades. I think you might need to locate something for the blacksmith in the first area before he sells anything to you though. That or my game glitched out till then. But it's located not far from the start, so it shouldn't take long to do this. You don't have to sit there and grind for all the power-ups, but there is one that makes you invincible when you're rolling, which comes in super handy, as without it you can't really dodge the enemies. Also, when you die you lose half your money, so it's not like you're going to be saving up as much as you can, as you will die a lot in this game. So you might as well just get it out of the way. Luckily this is very forgiving with its checkpoints, and the bosses are a complete joke. Well, apart from the last one, he's a bit of a dick. Your biggest obstacle in the game will be the dead ends. You see, the game has no map, and so many of these damn dead ends. I guess you could make your own map, but the world isn't massive, so it's easy to find your way around. But I'm just not that smart, so I kept hitting the same brick walls over and over. Most of the trophies are just for story progression, and there's only one missable for finding a necklace, so just make sure you found that before heading to the final area. The game can be a bit glitchy too, but it was made by one person, so I feel we can give them some slack. It's overall a pretty easy and fun platinum, which could be knocked out in a couple of hours with a guide. Again, I did this one as a blind playthrough and enjoyed it more because of this. If you love the trend of modern retro games, this is definitely worth a play. It's a game that I think's been overlooked by a lot of people, but don't worry, it's been mentioned by a larger YouTuber now, so it's getting the eyes on it deserves. Wavetale was a game I hadn't ever heard of until I saw it recommended by the channel Why You Should Play. They were talking about the Switch version which received a physical, so naturally I looked into a PlayStation version, and to my surprise it was on sale for pennies digitally. I do think its usual going price is around £25 though, so it is quite steep for an indie digital title. But when I saw them showing it off, it reminded me of a little game I played a long time ago on the Xbox called Submerged. Don't know why, it doesn't play anything like Submerged. Well, it kinda does. Exploring a watery area, I guess. I'm just talking crap now. Right, let's continue. Well, were they right? Should I have played this one? And should you too? I'm happy to report yes. I think I beat this in one sitting when I was off work with a bad leg. The game is a pretty casual exploration platformer, where you explore this world flooded with water. There is combat, but it's very basic, and it feels like it takes a back seat to the traversal and platforming, which at first feels a little floaty, but it works really well. I didn't find anything frustrating like you usually do in these smaller releases. Trophy-wise, the game is very straightforward. Almost all of the trophies are story-related, other than about 4 time trial courses you need to stop and complete. Don't worry, these are super easy too. It's just following a set path and you can retry as many times as you want. The game is pretty heavy on its story, and although it's nothing groundbreaking, it was enough to keep me entertained and wanting to see what happens next. I beat this on the PS5, but there's also a PS4 version available. I'm going to have to revisit this one after the challenge is over, as I had such a good time with it, so I might as well just double dip on those platinums. I may even go out of my way and pick up the physical Switch version just to own a copy. Sadly, that version was released by Super Rare Games, and it's now sold out, so it'll have to be the overinflated second-hand market coming to my rescue for a copy. If you see this in the digital sales, definitely pick it up. It's good fun. This is the big one for the time being of this challenge. I looked at the list for Gran Turismo 7 and thought, I'll have a racer. I'm quite good at them. What could go wrong? Well, this was a mistake. I've said that a few too many times in this video, haven't I? The game itself I really enjoyed. It's the platinum I didn't. The game asks you to dedicate so much time for it for no real reason. But before we talk about the grind, let's get the worst trophy out of the way. It's for getting all the gold medals on the license tests. Yes, like every Gran Turismo before it, you have to earn licenses in the game to progress. To actually unlock the content, it isn't too bad, as you can just pass them with a bronze and move on. But for this trophy, you need gold in everything, and some of those gold times are mad. Most of the early challenges just want you to do a small section of the track, and are nice and easy just to keep replaying. It's when they want you to do full laps within a time limit the issues arise. You need to do nigh on perfect laps for a gold time. This had me going into the car setups and trying every little adjustment just to shave off milliseconds. I thought I wasn't ever going to get the golds, but I somehow fluked it. This took me hours, but sadly this only scratches the surface of what else you need to do to obtain the platinum trophy. I wanted to make sure I got the multiplayer stuff out of the way early on too, which luckily this time isn't difficult, but it's a bit long-winded. You have to play 50 races in the GT Sport mode. These are official races which take place at certain times, so you spend more time waiting around in lobbies than actually racing. These seem to start every 10 to 15 minutes, and unless you have the cars to access them, you'll find yourself doing the same race over and over and over. But at least this step is easy, even though it tacked on way too many hours. Next up was the single player mode. This for some reason is the cafe mode, where you work your way through different races set to menus. All of these are really easy and can be done on any difficulty. Finishing the main menus will finally pop the credits, and a trophy. In this step though, try not to spend as much money as possible. I made the mistake of buying things like different wheels and body parts for miscellaneous trophies. This is because you need as much money as possible for the second worst part of the game. You see, there are these legendary cars that you need to buy for a trophy. 3 of them in fact, which I think are from a dealership which only unlocks after you finish the career mode anyway. Well, this is where the pointless nature of the game starts. The cars in this legendary dealership cycle every couple of days at what seems like random. The cars you need to buy also cost ungodly amounts of money. The most expensive one you need to be buying will cost you 20 million credits, and you need 3 of these fucking cars. I swear it was around 52 million or something I needed, just for these 3 cars. Let's not forget to mention, they're not always available. When they cycle, you could have just cars that you don't need. These are really random in the actual cycle. Most of the time you won't see any of them for like days or weeks. The problem is, you also learn by this time that most of the races pay out almost nothing. Everything you have done so far won't even be close to the amount of money needed. I did find one race that was about 25 minutes long and would net you about 500k if you came first. After some digging on the internet, I found a setup which would allow me to win the race quite easily, but this still involved some concentration, so this was a lot of full focus grinding. If you're thinking you'll just pay to win this one, you'll be in for a shock. Here in the UK, buying 2 million credits will cost you £16.99. So that's almost £170 just to buy one of the legendary cars. It's a joke. The other 2 aren't 20 million. I think one's like 16 and one's 10 or something. I can't remember what they are. But whatever it is, it's filth. This took me about 2 months from start to finish when trying to get all the cars. The one I needed last was the one that was available for so long when I didn't have the money. It was just annoying. The game in total took me close to 170 hours. I played this purposefully on the PS4, as I knew the PS5 version was an auto-pop platinum when transferring your save. I thought if I'm putting this much effort in, I'm getting 2 platinums out of it, damn it. Don't worry though, I'm not cheating this. I am only counting one of these towards the platinum challenge. There are miscellaneous trophies for things like taking photos of certain cars, which you need more money for, reaching speeds, and pointless tasks like buying the same car 10 times. I was truly sick of this one by the end. Gran Turismo 7. Let's never meet again. My plan with this update was to see how many games I could beat before GT7 was done, and then update at that point. Well, my lazy ass didn't put any time into this video, so another one snuck in after GT. This time it was House Flipper 2, a sequel to a game I beat a few years ago on the Xbox. This is everything you imagine it to be. Buy houses, do them up, and sell them. It's one of them series of games I just find relaxing and can play for hours on end. This one comes with more of a story mode than the first game, and plays a bit like a 3D version of that unpacking game. You do the house up for people, then quite often have to unbox their stuff and put it into place. The trophies were as equally chill as the game itself. All you have to do is work through the career mode, find some collectibles, which if you miss any, do it after finishing the career, as re-entering levels resets them. I'm not sure if this does or doesn't have any negative effects, so makes sense to do it at the end. You also have to do some random stuff, like putting a laptop in a fridge, or throw a bin bag into a bin from 10 meters away. Other things like running a certain distance, or painting a certain length of distance, will come naturally when playing the game. The coolest mode in the game though, is what I'm dubbing IKEA Simulator. You have to build furniture from scratch, and each one you successfully complete means you'll get a discount from it in the store. It starts off with things like hanging a clock on a wall, but it won't be long until you're building flat pack wardrobes. There is a trophy tied to building something like 15 bits of furniture. You are also scored on your accuracy, but I'm not sure if you have to 3-star them. I don't know because I wouldn't move on until I got 3 stars on a piece, but that's just my OCD kicking in. This is what I would recommend if you want something relaxing to just turn your mind off to. It's not super short though. My stats are showing that I finished this in just over 30 hours. That'll do it for this update. Not as many games as the previous ones, but this was more of a Herculean task than most of them. GT7 alone used up months of time for this challenge. We are now edging ever so close to that 40 mark, and soon after that, the final 10. I am confident I can get this done still, but you never know, I might bite off more than I can chew with some of the games I choose to play, and that would just be a colossal waste of time if I couldn't finish it. As always, thanks for watching. I would love to know what platinum trophies or Xbox 1000Gs you've unlocked recently. I may even give some of them a go. Have fun, people.